Thanks very much, Patrick, for welcoming me to KFM, and listeners, good evening.
And we shall soon be joined by Rosie Athiano Kato, Country Strategy Advisor, Enabel, Uganda. So let's face it, Uganda has continued to be a preferred investment destination for businesses from many parts of the world. As a result, many people have jobs. But when they are working there, they also sometimes encounter problems. And that's why we see a need to advance respect for human rights by businesses in Uganda. Let me begin by asking you, Mr. Byanabi, from the Uganda Human Rights Commission, to paint a picture what it means to advancing respect for human rights by businesses in Uganda, and at the workplace, how are rights really observed, protected, and promoted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamara. You know, traditionally, it is the primary responsibility of the state to protect and promote human rights. But while the state has that primary responsibility, it is required to respect, protect, and fulfill. Now, in protecting the enjoyment of human rights, the state is supposed to ensure that third parties do not violate human rights. Now, third parties here include largely non-state actors, where we find the business entities, business enterprises, be it national, be it multinational corporations. Therefore, it's no longer business as usual as the traditional norm that it should only be the state to protect human rights. Now it extends to business enterprises like KFM. You don't have to be working in a state department in order for your rights to be realized. Now, since 2011, the United Nations came up with what we call the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights to protect, to respect, protect, and remedy framework, which was put in place by the Special Representative of the Secretary General on the issue of human rights and business enterprises, including transnational corporations. Now, that is the framework which is guiding the whole world, Uganda inclusive, being a member of the United Nations, to ensure that business enterprises do respect the rights of its workers, the rights of its people. And from the monitoring we have conducted as Uganda Human Rights Commission across a number of business entities in Uganda, tea plantations, sugar factories, hotels, shops, name it, you realize that this is we are not yet there, and that's why it's a concern for government, for non-state actors, for development partners, to ensure that we shed a light on the issue of business and human rights, whereas businesses have a number of advantages, including employment, tax generation, and etc. The disadvantages are equally there, and we are concerned to address them.
Thank you for that highlight. Let me take it to you, Mr. Byarhanga, from Resource Rights Africa, to make your own context of how the human rights are respected in businesses in Uganda, how maybe they are not even respected.
Okay, thanks very much, Patrick. Indeed, as my colleague has noted, since 2011, yes, we have the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. And later on, Uganda, because it undergoes through the Universal Periodic Review, so we see in 2016, Uganda getting a recommendation from the Troika. These are countries that assessed Uganda, and they enhanced the recommendation that Uganda should have a national action plan on business and human rights. So at policy level, government of Uganda in 2021 came up with a national action plan on business and human rights, which sets the agenda for businesses and other stakeholders like government to ensure that there is protection and then respect and also access to remedy the three pillars that emanate from the UN Guiding Principles on business and human rights. Now, we see that government showing interest and progress in terms of regulating what businesses are doing. Remember, initially, the aspect of business respecting human rights was neglected. Initially, we were focusing on civil and political rights, but over time we realized that issues to do with the labor, issues to do with employment, issues to do with the health and education have gained traction, and hence the need for us to see how businesses are respecting human rights. But also we realize that now business enterprises have a lot of money. When you look at companies like Total, they may have a lot of money compared to even some of our governments. So with that, it brings them to the discussion point that what are they doing in the communities where they're investing. Now, we have been in the communities and we've realized that there is quite a lot that these businesses are doing, some positive but some negative. Take an example of those companies that are into mining. We have seen that many of them, for example, are not paying surface rights compensation for the local people. You know, if you're going to do mining on my land, then you have to come on a round table and we negotiate. And then you pay me, then I move on. We have seen that most of these companies are equally employing children in their operations. And this is wrong because at the end of the day, you realize that these children belong to school. They belong to class. They don't belong to sugarcane plantations. They don't belong to the mines. And in the mines, for example, you find that these children are suffering quite a lot. Some of these mines are using mercury, for example. And these hazardous substances are being used by the children, unfortunately, and pregnant women. And we have cases like in Karamoja, for example, in Amudat, where lives are being lost due to the use of mercury in these mines, and this is unacceptable.
Okay, we have also been joined in the studio by Rose Atieno Kato, Country Strategy Advisor in Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us, Rose, and good evening.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good evening, listeners. Rose Atieno Kato is my name, Country Strategy Advisor for Enable, the Belgian Development Agency.
So this Belgian Development Agency, when you partner with the Ugandan stakeholders on the issue of human rights, when you look into the businesses that are being conducted in different parts of Uganda, what is your worry in terms of human rights violation? What have you really seen and what have you been able to do as Enable?
So the background of this project is that we see that there are a number of human rights issues that exist within the companies, and especially the biggest issue now in Uganda is child labor, where we find that 40% of children are actually into child labor, and this is removing kids out of school. So we shouldn't deny the fact that within agriculture, especially sugarcane, tea, fishing, rice growing, cotton growing, there are a lot of abuses in regards to child labor.
How do you deal with this, for example, if some of these businesses are family-owned businesses and people take their children fishing and they go, sugarcane plantation or protecting maize from being eaten by monkeys and all the kind of stuff? How do you get in?
Now, of course, the thing is we need to make the communities and families aware of the importance of education. As Enable, we've invested a lot of money in terms of education here in Uganda, and most of what we do is to make sure that the communities are aware of the importance of education. If the communities are aware about the importance of education, they will then do whatever is right to ensure that instead of a child remaining to do child labor to get money for supporting the family, they will actually prioritize this child going back to school. So Enable has invested a lot in terms of education of children in Uganda.
Amadi, I can imagine Uganda is struggling so hard to bring in investors, the foreign direct investment. We need it to come. And the president is always on a charm offensive across the globe to bring in investors. So when they come, and then you put all these conditionalities, the human rights, isn't there also a way that you could make Uganda a difficult place for them to do business?
Not at all. You see, human rights is about the dignity of the human person. Yes, we want foreign direct investment, we want taxes, we want economic growth, development, and etc. But this should not come at the expense of the rights of the people. It does not help the country to have a factory where people are tortured every day. It does not help the country because once they are tortured, they become, they will not be productive. You need to respect the rights of the people. Talk about working hours. A human being was not designed to be a machine. You cannot make somebody work without rest, without leisure. At the end of the day, it becomes counterproductive. So the human rights-based approach requires that whatever is being done should be people-centered. Development for who? You will bring investors, you need the human person is the central subject of development. So you must have a healthy population, you must have people whose rights are respected in order for all sectors of the economy to thrive. So it would be disastrous to look at one side of the coin that you simply need investors who do not respect the laws of the country. It is very, very important.
Andrew, this issue of human rights violations, has it been the norm in Uganda, or just because you have now the businesses are under a spotlight, so you're able to see what problems they are in? Because it appears we seem to have been a people that were respecting people's rights. Is it a new phenomena?
I think we are seeing new trends or new things that are emerging in our territories. Things that never used to be. As I've noted to you that initially we are focusing just on civil and political rights. But right now, because of emergence and the quest for new systems, mention it capitalism, for example, the quest to accumulate wealth at all odds. And this is a global phenomenon, and it is really causing a lot of havoc. Let's talk about the aspect of patriarchy at the same time as a system, which is really, impacting on women and causing a lot of havoc. Environmental destruction, trying to see that each and every resource is extracted at whatever cost, against even the respect for human rights. So the global architecture, the way how now it is crafted, it is really driving the whole aspect of violation of people's rights and also environmental destruction. So I must say these are the issues which we are handling at the moment.
But now, Andrew, sometimes we find, an equal power relation. For example, even at the village level, a young lady will be taken advantage of. There's only this one rich man who can only provide a job for them to be able to buy sugar or even, get some money to go to hospital. Really, for people like you, Rights Africa or Enable or even Human Rights Uganda, how do you go to that extent to help where there's an equal power relation that is causing, human rights violation? Even some people, their rights could be violated and they have no idea. Isn't that possible?
What we are talking about is the whole aspect of awareness. You realize that even when there are these powerful individuals or companies in the community, you find that most of them are not aware. First of all, let's begin with the local context. You find someone flies in from Kuwait, comes here, is an investor. He doesn't know the historical context, for example, of Bunyoro. He doesn't know the kind of injustices that have happened in the past and how to deal with that context. So we begin from making people understand the local context where they are investing. If you are an investor, you are investing in Kalangala, you are growing palm oil. But what was the cultural aspect of those people? What do they believe in? And who are the marginalized individuals within that community? I think we begin from there. once you create awareness, then even people, utilizing the existing institutions, even to lodge a complaint, like Uganda Human Rights Commission, some people may be jittery, may not be aware that, you can go to Uganda Human Rights Commission and you access justice because they have a tribunal, they have officers in the field. So it begins from awareness creation. And once that is enhanced at community level, both from the duty bearers side, and these are the people whom you are calling, powerful, but also to the rights holders, such that they can claim their rights.
Okay, Andrew, Kamadi and Rose, we're going to take a break and the hot seat will be right back.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. Rise and shine. This is the KFM Hour of Power.
I would go to my car.
Human Rights Commission. I have Andrew Biaruhanga, Executive Director, Resource Rights Africa, and I have Rose Athieno Kato, Country Strategy Advisor, Enable Uganda. So the issue of empowerment, the issue of awareness creation is big, because if the people are aware, if you have a vibrant citizenry that understand their rights, that they know their responsibilities, then your job is going to be much easier. So how far have you gone to make sure that now you have Ugandans who are empowered, who are sensitized, who can defend their rights really without even coming to the desk of Mr. Gionavia to make a report? Rose?
This project is all about awareness creation. We are targeting about 1 million people.
1 million people?
Yes, 1 million people, to sensitize them on business and human rights issues. Now, the project has just started, but we are already creating big impact. We've so far gone to all the 11 districts where this project is going to be implemented, mainly to create awareness among the political leadership on the need for businesses to be aware about human rights issues. We are looking for political buy-in into this project so that the message can be passed beyond. And we are looking at different stakeholders, political leaders, cultural leaders, religious leaders, technical wing, and all these are supposed to be talking with the same voice. Issues of human rights.
Mr. Kamadi, is it often to find a worker at a business environment anywhere in Uganda to come to the desk of the Uganda Human Rights Commission to make a complaint? Because in most cases, it's the politicians coming to you. How often do they even come to you? And when they come, what kind of complaints do they lodge?
It's quite challenging. Actually, I have two examples that come into mind. I went to, one was in a hotel in Kampala here, another one in a hotel in Entebbe. So I went to, we were doing some work there, and one of the workers there came, there are always these, they show which organizations are in the hotel that day. Yeah. So he said, "You are from the Uganda Human Rights Commission?" I said, "Yes." He said, "We are dying here. Things are bad." I said, "So you are in the right place. Can I take your particulars and then we process your complaint?" The lady said, No. I don't want them to know that I'm the one who has complained. That is one. Then one of the security guards in one of the hotels in Kampala here also came to me when we were having a meeting there, raising more or less similar concerns like the lady of Entebbe. So the point you are raising is real. It's a challenge. Majority of these people suffer silently. They need to be empowered. They need to be helped, because when I realized they were in that kind of state, we devised ways of helping them.
But you realize it was just a chance encounter for them to meet you. They would never have met you. They would never even have expressed the little they did.
So that's why this discussion is on. It is real. People need to be empowered and hold duty bearers accountable, hold their employers accountable. We are urging the population not to suffer silently. For how long? Find ways and means of speaking out. It's like cases of sexual exploitation. They are ripe in these businesses. Majority of these ladies don't want to speak out, but mechanisms have been put in place of ensuring that they reach to the responsible authorities. Otherwise, if we don't create awareness, if we don't urge them to come out and speak out, they will suffer silently, and in the end, it's not good for the people.
Andrew, we have a jobless generation in Uganda. When somebody gets a job and they are busy, and for them, that's the blessing that has come, because many young people are not going to find a job. So somebody's going to make a calculation. Do I go and report to the NBL, to Uganda Human Rights Commission, to Rights Africa, and stand the risk of just losing the only means of sustenance that I have? It's a tough, a tough journey to take.
Definitely, of course, it is a tough journey, and just like my colleague Kamadi has noted, yes, there are quite a number of those who are suffering silently. But then we are saying we are also equally seeing quite a number of people who are coming up. I think the Uganda Human Rights Commission undertakes an annual report which clearly indicates that these cases now, which we are seeing in the media and also in the reports like by UHRC, are as a result of the kind of empowerment that people are getting. So I think, yes, and also with the digital age now we are in, people are on different platforms. They are able to report. I have myself followed quite a number of cases, and we have created referrals where you see, for example, on social media, maybe a maid is torturing a baby or something like that, and then we refer such cases. We try to ask even security forces, can you trace this kind of person? And I think there is quite a lot now of progress that is being made. Now, the young population who are looking for jobs and they are jobless, I tell you, yes, it is a big challenge to them, but also we have seen quite a number of them who are coming up. And it begins from that age when you are raising this child. What sort of empowerment are you giving this child? Unfortunately, we have seen that our education system and also the way how we live in our homes, we are not empowering our children to report. So there is quite of a reservation when it comes to reporting because of this kind of education system which places the teachers, the parents, they become like semi-gods, So there is kind of fear and tension that is created in our children, and they grow with this kind of fear. But now with the kind of digital age which is coming up, and the kind of projects like this one which we are launching here in Kampala, we are trying to ensure that those who are missing out on the kind of empowerment that is needed for them to report, they come out from their hideouts such that they don't suffer in silence.
Okay. Yeah. Rose, sometimes we point fingers of accusation to the employers in the Middle East where most of the Ugandan girls are working, especially domestic workers. Mm-hmm. But we forget there is real suffering in the homes of Ugandans. Young girls who are brought from rural Uganda, working into gated communities of Kampala. They are undergoing some immense torture that nobody knows about. What we hear, we see that video from Qatar, from Saudi, from where, and then share it. But amongst our own homes, in those walls, in those gated communities, Ugandans are being tortured. Is this project likely to reach people like those?
Yeah, this project is designed at 3 levels. First of all, we need to support the government institutions to be able to implement the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. And here we are going to be supporting Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development. We are going to be working together with Equal Opportunity Commission. We are going to be working together with the Uganda Human Rights Commission and the local districts. So that is one level. And at that level, we expect the government of Uganda to be working on communication on business and human rights, regulating and monitoring of issues to do with business and human rights, supporting businesses to respect human rights, and also support the communities to access remedies. That is one level. The other level that is very important, the second level, is working with the businesses. And while working with the businesses, first of all, as Andrew said, the businesses need to be aware about human rights issues. If they understand human rights issues, then they will be able to respect it. How are we going to do this with these businesses? First of all, we shall build their capacities on business and human rights issues. We shall support them to do self-assessment. We shall support them to develop improvement plans to help them improve on human rights compliances. And then lastly, we shall support them to implement those plans. Now, the last level, which is very, very important, is building the capacities at community level. Now, in that, we are going to be working with 4 civil society organizations.
Okay. Now, Kamadi, I can imagine we're lucky now as a country. We have attracted many people to come and do business here. If you go on the Albert and Graben, a lot of work is going on. Tens of thousands of people in the oil sector and gas. The other day we just concluded the Karuma Dam. When you have all these people have come together in that area, there's a likelihood that some people, their rights would be violated. Do you wait for all these people to come to you, or you put a desk down there in Bunyoro region for people to reach you? Because at the end of the day, this is your number one job. These are supposed to be doing supporting role, right?
The creation of Uganda Human Rights Commission Hoima Region Office was in response to what you have raised. It was not there until recently, 2013, specifically put in place to address the issues you have raised. And immediately it was established, we undertook a study on the implications of the nascent oil and gas sector on human rights, which I had actually thought of carrying a book for you here, I just forgot, which highlighted the issues that we are talking about of vulnerability of men who would receive money for compensation and they marry second wife, they buy a very big radio, issues of financial literacy. I remember a case of a father-in-law who received the money his son had passed on, so he told the widow that my son your husband was on my land, therefore you have nothing to claim. So those are the issues, some of the issues we are able to get to. But some now come to our office, but our office is resourced and facilitated to move to the communities. This issue you raised of the earlier on of the maids and etc., one of the interventions the Uganda Human Rights Commission is going to undertake under this project is holding community dialogues, reaching out to the people and speak to them on the grassroots so that these issues can come out. But like Shazi said, the other strategy is talking to the business owners themselves. We are also engaging, we have been in talks with these oil companies and the businesses down there to ensure that it should be two-way, not waiting for the vulnerable people to come out or how they are helped, but these business owners, the enterprises themselves, being mindful that while operating on Ugandan soil, this country respects the rule of law, and therefore they are required to fulfill certain obligations.
All right. Amadi, Andrew, and Rose, gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break, and the hot seat will be right back.
Expertise, levels of education, and etc. But when you go sector by sector, for instance, if we say drivers in Uganda, the job of driving is known, and what it takes for one to become a driver. If we say teachers, teachers are known and the qualifications they hold. If we say factory workers, if we say maids, because it might not be wise to set a minimum wage, say for you, Mr. Kamara, with the maid at my home, just because you are both in employment. Yeah, the long kind of apprenticeship and etc. Such aspects should be looked into. So the advocacy continues, but we also urge employers not to exploit employees on account of their vulnerability. Okay. That's why the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights specifically makes a focus on women, persons with disabilities, and people who are considered to be vulnerable, so that they are not exploited.
You know, Andrew, there are people right now who could also be professional organizations. There could even be private teachers who are hired without contracts. Probably they're working with no leave, working long hours, and sometimes actually even money, paid installments or not paid at all, but they don't want even to come to Kamadi to complain. They are okay. they think even the least that they have is such a miracle. You know what I mean? And they can be anytime sacked with no regard remedy. That happens every day.
I think, of course, it goes back to what we talked about and the challenges that also happen within the judicial system. My brother Kamad here may not tell you how incapacitated the Uganda Human Rights Commission is, but for us from where I come from, we can ably, advocate for increased funding for MDAs that are aimed at enhancing labor relations in the country, and one such institution is the Uganda Human Rights Commission. So you realize that these agencies are understaffed, these agencies are underfunded, and they don't have enough sufficient resources to reach all the corners or reach all the institutions to get to understand, for example, how much people in the plantation agriculture, or how much are they earning? Are the conditions favorable? Do they have unions? Can they collectively bargain? So there is a big challenge in terms of funding. Then secondly, the teachers and other workers may not complain because also of the lengthy judicial processes. If you lodge a complaint, how long will it take you to ensure that there is access to remedy, which is Pillar 3 under our National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights and the UNGP. So there is a challenge even of the case backlog. So, and even when justice has been delivered, like I know Uganda Human Rights Commission has been giving, compensation, passing judgment, and people are supposed to be compensated. But then you find that a person will die without accessing that money. However little it is, it should have helped to remedy, to bring back that person to the state within which he or she was, but then is not accessing that money. So at the end of the day, that creates a lot of fear, or people that just give up. Okay. And they will not complain. They will not lodge complaints.
Some of these project-affected persons, Rose, I met this lady, I think, where they're building the current airport in Kabale, in Hoima. And she was married legally to man for quite some time, and then they divorced and they separated. And then when time came to, compensate, they needed also the woman, the wife, to be there to sign some papers. So the man had to go look for this woman whom he had neglected for more than 15 years, so that he can access that 150 million. And by grace of God, he gets the woman, and then they sign the papers, and the man is paid. So I was doing a documentary, and I asked this lady, what has the airport brought for you? The good thing, the woman was so happy. The airport has brought back my man. But the truth is, the man went looking for this lady, not because he wanted the lady, but because that's the only way how he could access the 150 million. And there's this lady also who got about 80 million, and an old woman staying by herself, and she was asking, can this money be enough to buy me a border? So how and I could see the hyenas surrounding around, and
to access that money.
Yes. So, do you understand the kind of empowerment you're going to do? This is what you're going to do. The people you're going to meet. How ready are you as Annabelle to really tackle such issues?
We really understand the issues of women rights is a big issue, and that's why this project mainly focuses on women and girls, because we understand that that is the area where there is a big issue at the moment. Now, this happens everywhere. Women are employed and they are less paid in organization. Do they even know that they are less paid in some of these companies they are working? Women are in this company, they don't have contract. They fall pregnant, they deliver, they are still expected to work during the pregnancy and even immediately after delivery. If they don't, they are losing their job. That is the level of unawareness that women are suffering with, especially women at the community level. So what are we going to do with that? We need to empower the women. We need a lot of empowerment, programs for these women. And that's why through this project, we are working with civil society who are at the grassroots level to tackle some of those issues. But we also appreciate that these issues are only not at community level. They are even among, as you said, Patrick, they are even at the level of the working class. You are talking about a woman who is working at the airport. This is an elite person, but still suffering the same way. So the project will need to do a lot of awareness creation, a lot of capacity building at all levels to also empower the women.
Very quickly, Andrew, before we take a break.
Yeah, but also I think creating safe spaces for these marginalized communities. Now, one of the approach that is going to be employed under this project is using puppet theater, which really appeals to children. Because we know that most of these children who are in this plantation agriculture and other places, they need to come together and then conceive or get this message. So using puppet theater, models that have worked edutainment, educates, but also it entertains. I think we are able to reach such marginalized communities. But also the women, can we reach them through their groups and make sure that these women are talked to in safe spaces as opposed to having them with men, because there are cultural attachments to these kind of meetings and the discussions that take place.
All right. Yeah, gentlemen and lady, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, my producer will open the lines so that we get to hear what Ugandans are saying. So the moment is coming so that you who is listening can also have your say.
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
The drama, love, lies, and family ties.
Charles, are you transferring the truth?
And an invited guest with a secret sets Damali and Charles on a warpath that threatens to unravel everything they have built and wreck their family.
I'm back now.
Damali Season 2 is back every Monday to Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. on Pearl Magic Prime.
You tell us your name and where you're from. Hello.
Yes, Patrick. Thanks for the show.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Kode.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kode.
I have two questions. One for the good lady in the studio,
yes,
and one for the guest from the Human Rights Commission.
Okay.
Let me start with the lady.
Mm-hmm.
We have had the scenarios where in our institutions where most girls, our sisters, they are being used, for lack of a better word. And we hear the news we hear the stories in the newspapers or in the television. My question is, what measures have we really taken up? Because this is they keep on happening each and every year. We know in institutions this has happened. The student has been, used by a rector or whatever. Two, to the human rights gift.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with the human rights of the current Human Rights Commission is that even if they issue an order, for instance, if the statutory people come and arrest the Kode, and you issue an order that within 48 hours, because not produced in court, release him. But the statute, they have defied your orders. So I'm wondering, when do your orders be effective?
Okay, you made your point. All right, you've made your point. Thank you very much. Let me also take another call on mine. Hello.
Hello, yes, Amara. This is the Luo man.
The Luo man, how are you, sir?
Okay, how are you?
Good.
Yes, my question goes straight to your people.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming someone's working like a casual worker somewhere, and accidentally the person, the machine cut him or the leg or the hand, and he went for for treatment. After treatment, he came back. Then they said you are terminated. How can they replace a person another workplace?
Okay.
Because nothing like happening where mostly with Indians.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. He calls himself Luo Man. Let me take another caller. I have a caller. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Kamara.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Katoke.
Katoke, go right ahead. Your name, sir?
Yeah, this is Wanyaka Hussein.
Wanyaka Hussein.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And now I'm just trying to find out whether they are going to issue out job security for the casual laborers, because if a businessman has employed you and you report to them that they are not paying, maybe your NSSF or something, they are not paying you anything, maybe it's a good way. Then you report and they send you away. Where do you get the security from? Because this is a business man with they're looking at profit. They do not mind about their workers.
Thank you, Mr. Wanyaka. That's a good one. Maybe I'm going to take another one so that my guests can be able to respond. Let me take two more. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Sam Bukoto.
Sam in Bukoto. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I am going to talk about the investors, because business and human rights have to move concurrently. And if you move in most of the factories, you go to Namanve, you go to those ends of most of these factories where you find most ladies are employed, you find that most of them are underpaid, and I don't know whether it is because I hear when the investors are coming here, they are assured of cheap labor. So you find that the ladies are underpaid. You go to you go to the factory, the working conditions are not good. You find the urinals or the toilets, the latrines are not so good. And when you go there, people will fear to talk, and they will only talk to you off camera, or they should not be identified. Because the next thing the supervisors realize that they have spoken out, they are fired.
Okay. Thank you. Let me take the last caller. I have another caller. Hello.
Pastor Kamara, you're live at Busega. I'm Juma.
Juma in Busega. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, the public, we need service delivery, number one. Number two, what we need is accountability and transparency. All the things. Thank you for coming to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, all our callers, for making an effort to call in. And that means you're interested in this. So let me, gentlemen and lady, respond some of these. There are two particular questions to you, Kamad and Rose, and the others are general. Okay. You want to go first?
What I want to tell the listeners out there is that this project is one of its kind. It's a very new project. So we've not started tackling these issues, but we've developed plans and strategies to be able to tackle some of these issues that you are airing out. Of course, we know very well that the issues of the girls is really, really a big issue. So there will be a number of measures. Some of them is what we are discussing, empowering of the girl child, empowering of the women to be able to understand their rights and to be able to speak out. Andrew was talking about safe places. We need those type of safe places. Do they exist at the moment in Uganda? Are they known to the people who are affected so that they can be able to go and report these issues? At the moment, I think the safe places do not really exist. that are known by the community, and this is an area that we have to be that we are going to work in. Yes, the issue of the investors, ladies being underpaid, I think that is an issue that I already talked about. Yes, we acknowledge that one of the issues is that the women's rights are being violated. What can this project do to this country? And I think for us that is a big issue, and that is an issue that we are going to tackle head on without fear, looking at the issue of businesses and the human rights therein. And we are looking at all angles. We are looking at the employers, we are looking at the employees. Both of them have to understand, and they have to understand that there is mutual benefit on both sides. If you respect human rights, you are not going to have, for example, strikes, riots happening, and therefore you will have increase on your production, on therefore your profit. So we need to raise awareness at all angles, employers and also the employees, and to know that there is mutual benefit on this.
All right, Amadi.
That orders given by the commission are defied. Like I've always said, Patrick, this is a general statement. If we had time, I would explain how many orders of the commission have been respected, and I wish you could do if you had raised a specific case, but this is really a general statement. It's not true that all the time the orders are defied. But even if an order was defied, the most important thing is it has been issued. And it is on record, it is documented. Whoever is responsible should hold the defiant officer accountable.
Okay.
That is all I can say.
Maybe, Andrew, the issue of job security. I report, then I end up losing my job.
Yeah, of course, that is a big concern. And of course, we feel for those people who, try to access remedy, but then they end up getting into a secondary, kind of suffering. But of course, we have laws in this country, and we can't lose hope that, you can't use the existing legal frameworks to ensure that you access remedy, but also using the kind of institutions that exist. The courts are there. Of course, at district level, there are labor officers whom can be reached at first instance, but also we have legal aid service providers like Uganda Law Society. So I think we should not tire. We should explore. And when we fail to use to get access remedy using local remedies, of course, there is at the East African community, there are also institutions. There is a court that we can utilize, and also going international. And I think we have had these cases really move in those kind of stages.
And still with you, Andrew, in less than 30 seconds, your concluding remark.
I would like to appreciate Annabelle for coming up with this project that is going to be in Busoga, Kampala Metropolitan, and Alberta in Graben, to ensure that at least they add, a block into enhancing respect for business and human rights.
And Kamadi, your parting shot.
The struggle for human rights requires empowerment. People should never tire to hold the perpetrators accountable, because the perpetrators, for them, they don't care. They will enjoy continuing stepping on people. Therefore, empowerment is important and not to fear.
And Rose, in your concluding remark, would also request to tell us about the launch of the project.
Yes, in my concluding remark, I just want to say that human rights issues are real. And tomorrow we are going to launch this great project, which is advancing respect for human rights by businesses in Uganda. And during this launch tomorrow, which we are going to hold in 4 Point Sheraton in Kololo, we are going to involve all levels. We have the ministers are going to be there, the resident district commissioners are going to be present, the cultural leaders, the religious leaders. We are going to have the technical people, civil society organization, private sector are going to be there, and we want political buy-in in this project to advance the issues of human rights. And we are inviting each one of you to to keep alert on media. We are going to be in all media stations, TVs, radios, to listen more to about what this project is going to be offering to Uganda.
Rose Athieno Kato, Country Strategy Advisor, Enabel Uganda, thank you. Andrew Yaruhanga, Executive Director, Resource Rights Africa, thank you. And Bionabye Kamadi, Director, Research, Education and Documentation at the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Gentlemen and lady, I want to thank you so much for your submission. But most of all, you, the listener, I want to thank you for the privilege of your company. Good night and God bless Uganda.